with the father nor the paternal uncle on when will he be back to my home. So I went to a local area in Miami, Florida called 18th Avenue. And I went and I looked for my son. And as I went looking for my son, there was this guy on 63rd Street and 18th Avenue looking at me. And he was like, "Hey, are you looking for your son and your baby father?" And I was like, "Yes, I'm looking for my son." And as I was looking for my son, he said, "Your son is in that house in the corner." So basically, I didn't know where my son was at. So I was like, "Oh, okay, thank you." So I go to the door and I knock on the door and I'm like, "Junior, where's your dad? And you need to come on because, the court order is that you can't be with your dad. It has to be supervised at least." And, at the end of the day, I basically, said, he basically couldn't be with his dad at all. And there was no permission. So there was this girl that was there at the time. She was like a junkie, and the house was like a junkie house. It was a house that they basically went into that was foreclosed. A person that passed away, basically they broke into a house, and moved in there. And I didn't like the environment that my son was in. So I called the police, and I told the police, "Hey, come on over. I need you guys to tell my son to come on because he was dragging his feet." So I say, "Excuse me." I asked the girl, I say, "Is the dad there?" He's not here. And if you call the police, she was threatening me, what she's going to do to me. She was like, "I'm going to, hurt you very bad." And I was like, so unnecessary. So what I did was I called police. And the police, you okay? Okay. The police came. Well, they didn't come actually. As I called the police, she came out with a gun. And as she came out with the gun, she was like, "Oh, Gregory is not going anywhere. Your son is not going anywhere." With a gun in her hand, and my son was literally standing by her. Like, "Junior, just come on, Get the police report, go home, that's that." That wasn't the case. She came out with the gun. I had my two little ones in the car with me. And she went to waving the gun, and the guy who told me where they were, my son and my baby father, where the house was at, which was basically under the tree, right near the house, like literally 5 feet away from the house. I noticed he took the gun away from her and hid it. Well, anyway, make a long story short, here I am with my legal gun in fear, and my son comes out to the police as the police finally gets there, and he says, "Oh, at the end of the day, I didn't see her with a gun." So basically, I was the one arrested for basically, for my son basically saying that he didn't see the girl with a gun. And basically the story was so inflicted. So basically that's why I'm out on bond. The PI in the case basically spoke up for me and said that nothing about the story made sense. And he closed the investigation for the children department. And he also came to the court and spoke to the judge and explained to the judge, "Hey, this story doesn't sound right. And, at the end of the day, she's licensed and to carry. And I didn't feel as though she did anything wrong." And my son called and said, "Hey, tell the PI I did see her with a gun, and she was threatening my mom to kill my mom. And she did not let me leave." So once the police came, it was not a smooth transition where I can just get a police report. It was a conflict story. So I wound up arrested, and right now I'm facing trial. I have court July 13th. And yeah, it's very stressful. I also wanted to let you guys know, I was in my son's phone and I noticed that the dad was telling them, "Hey, go ahead and run away and do her disrespectfully any kind of way you choose." And it was because he wanted to control me, and he's seen that he wasn't able to control me anymore. So he was using the children as a vessel, and mainly my oldest. And my oldest is pretty close to his dad. I mean, he loves us both, but he's also close to his dad. So he you know, it was a weak link when he listens to his dad, basically. And I thought it was very overwhelming. I was very overwhelmed when I seen that, you know, basically, that you basically telling him to disrespect me, telling him to run away, telling him to overindulge. And, you know, it started so much confusions in my household as well, because, you know, when everything is together, here's my son thinking that it's okay to do what he wants. And, you know, it's no communication with the paternal side, so it got very stressful and overwhelming. I'm like, hey, if you guys tell me, hey, he's safe and he's with me, he'll be back at a presentable time, the court order is the court order, and I 101% govern that accordingly and follow those rules that's set before me. But at the same time, if I don't know where my son is at, I'm worried now, you know. So that's any mother. So at the end of the day, there was no communication and a lot of, you know, mean shade towards me. And, you know, when all I'm doing is what I have to do and what I know to do best is just to be the mother and there for my children or whatever, you know, at the end of the day. But, very stressful, very overwhelming to be facing these charges, praying for it to come to pass. And I'll follow through with you guys with more of my life story. Okay?